Nothing lasts forever. Everything ends. But sometimes I wish they didn't have to. I know it must seem like it, but I don't have a vendetta against AAA gaming. It's just that it's in the smaller indie scene where greater creative risks are being taken, and you'll often find concepts that major publishers have lost the courage to support. But it's not always such a happy story. I recently came across a game called Mouthole. I was instantly mesmerized by the gorgeous pixel graphics, quirky and charming environments, as well as the far-out concept. Suffice it to say, Mouthhole was right up my alley, and I eagerly hopped online to look it up. I was surprised to see that the game had been out since April of 2024, so I was definitely late to the party. But then I found out something that really kind of made me sad. Mouthhole is free on Steam. That's great. Except, well, that's because the developer, Anything Knows Productions, is closing down. They've canceled their next game, and before long, they're going to delist Mouthhole from Steam. I was very curious, and after playing through the game several times, I wish it wasn't going away. Here's my review. Now, the concept is out there, to say the least. From an uncomfortable, surreal POV, a dentist informs you that you have extremely poor dental health and that your mouth isn't going to make it, and that you have 5 days until it all comes crashing down. Have you ever heard anything like that? After this, you find yourself back in your house, left to spend your time as you see fit. Every day has hours, and how you spend those hours is up to you. Nearly every action you do costs time: jumping on a trampoline, smoking a cig, watering your plants, and brushing your teeth. This is, on the surface, the bulk of the plot in Mouthhole, but that's not to say that it's just weird, abstract nonsense the end. You play as this fellow. Small, stumpy, weak legs, a bad mouth, as you know, and a head in the shape of, well, the character's name is the name you gave him, and there isn't much backstory given, but you're not alone in the world. The small handful of characters in this game are quirky, off-kilter, and speak with a dreamlike twaddle. This worm guy in the canyon looks almost exactly like a picture I once drew of Hunter S. Thompson with a multicolored pencil in a sketchbook. I drew that after a few hits of... it's not important. Your goals, if you like, are not given to you so deliberately. There are no objective markers or anything as such. Occasionally, you will be given direction. Meeting the mechanic in town, he'll give you a gas can and he'll ask you to go fill it up. But there aren't any objective lists or experience points. You just sort of go. There are 11 possible endings, 7 major and 4 minor. Minor endings are often abrupt, like falling from the second floor of your home. Seriously, if you're not careful, you'll break your legs and get a final message. Begin again. The game encourages you to save often, and I would heed this advice. This liberal save system is great and allows you to really explore and experiment with the world. You can finish this game very quickly if you know what you're doing, but the various endings and wide variety of activities to interact with expand the game quite a bit, and I encourage you to chase your curiosity. An example of a major ending would be the motorway. I won't spoil how you find this out, but you're informed that a large highway will be built through your home, and well, as you wander down this highway, you'll observe a gorgeous setting sun on the horizon before another final message. What makes this plot so interesting is that it's more or less driven by your choices. Final messages offer clues as to things that you may have missed or possibilities left unexplored. You forgot about your mouth, you wasted time, or you failed with money before finally succumbing to the rot, and then you collapsed. But these are just a few of many, many endings. Is there a central antagonist? Kind of, sort of. There's a bizarre earthworm-like creature that you can find in a few of the endings, but that's not important necessarily. There aren't any monsters chasing you, no masked man with a weapon, no boss fights, no princess in a castle. The ultimate villain, if you will, is time. If you look at your stats in the menu, it'll track your activities as hours wasted. Oh man, ouch. Regardless of what's coming for you at the end of your life, these hours on the planet are finite. Maybe your ending will be dramatic. A slot machine might fall out of a cargo plane and land on you the day before your wedding. Maybe you're rich and miserable and you die alone at 33. Maybe you're poor, but you live another 70 years from now, having loved, laughed, traveled, and raised children that circle you tearfully in your final moments as you slip into the great beyond. Regardless of the end that we face, everything we do, including typing this script at this table, is another second gone. Time frittered away. It's up to you how you spend that time, and whether or not you feel like those hours are worthy. This is what I took away from the story in Mouthole. Everything ends, nothing lasts forever. You could also spend that time covering Phil Collins. As we discussed, you have 5 days, and every activity has an associated hourly cost to it. Right mouse button pulls up your arm with 2 watches, one for the time and one for the day, day 1, 2, 3, and so forth. How will you spend this time? Well, you can log onto the computer. Browsing the web costs an hour of your time, and your reward is finding out that nobody loves you. Anyone that creates on YouTube already knows that. You can also invest in stocks and enter the shop, but you need money for these tasks. You also need a coin in order to spend an hour flipping a coin. The point is, you can collect and spend money. Investing in the stock market is easy to understand. Simply select an investment and the percentage of your total funds that you'd like to put towards it. Check back in the next day, and you get to see if you got a fancy payout or if you lost. Either way, time has passed. On my first playthrough, I waited until the 3rd day to invest, meaning that I didn't get a payout until day 4 or 5. Yeah, I didn't do very well, and thus I didn't really have much to spend at the computer shop. The shop is the perfect distillation of the abstract madcap design of Mouthole. There's an extremely disturbing bit of body horror, with the shopkeep being an exposed hanging body drip drying over a butcher's bucket like cattle. He doesn't have much to say. The shop has various items: a camera, a complimentary wristband, a key, flashlight, a tiny drum kit or piano, a bobby bird straight from Alien, and a soccer ball. There's a net under your work table in the basement, by the way. This whole thing is it's such a mind fuck, and you exit through a tunnel of binary code. But as I said, on my first playthrough I handled money poorly, and I think I finished the game with like 50 cents. On my second playthrough, I invested early and often while killing time in between with some serious teeth brushing. And god damn, I made out. After my big old payday that got me an achievement, I decided to hit up the store and indulge in a bit of good old fashioned capitalism. I bought the soccer ball, I bought the flashlight, the camera, the bobby bird, and you better believe that your old friend Hypertension Johnny got himself some instruments. Hell yeah, baby. Big money hustler as I slide through this frighteningly relatable virtual existential crisis. God damn. If an obsession with the ultimate evil doesn't interest you, worry not. There are other ways to spend your days. Jump on a trampoline for a few hours. It makes you stronger. Smoke a ciggy on the patio. Interestingly enough, this activity doesn't offer you an option to say no. It's either sure or yes. I mean, you have 5 days, you might as well. Hey, how about a nice lukewarm basement beer? 2 hours for each can. A man's gotta savor the flavor. Oh, and whatever you do, don't chug all of them in a row. Definitely don't. Then again, our characters' habits probably haven't always been sound. So after a cool buzz, why not get a sweet 3-hour pump? Now, obviously, this dude never listened to Mike Menser, that's far too long. Oh, and I wasn't kidding about the trampoline making you stronger. On my second run, I deliberately squandered time on this. Now, I figured that the prompt that you feel stronger mattered, but I didn't realize to what extent. And then I kept jumping. Before I knew it, I was jumping ever higher until I landed on the roof of my kitchen. A nice, shiny coin and a little clue for us about mustaches. But eventually, you need rest, and thus, the next day will begin. You can check your diary at your bedside where you record all of your daily activities. Looking at this, you realize, quite literally in black and white, the mundane life you've led. But the cool thing about Mouthole is that it does have progression. You can just choose to ignore it, or you can get right to work. Acquire the sponge. Oh, and don't stay in that shower for too long with the door closed, by the way. You might need a glove. Anyway, with the sponge, you can clean the filth off of your bathroom mirror. Now you can check yourself out in the mirror, and if you like, crawl into your mouth to explore other worlds. And I love writing about this game. The inside of your mouth acts as a sort of central hub away from home. From here, you have 4 paths nestled in the lining of your gums. At this stage, 3 of them are blocked off, and you have to figure out how to unlock them in the house. The brilliant part is that each barrier is a clue, and when you have the revelation that you've possibly just unlocked one, it's really satisfying to run back to the mirror, come back here, and see that a new path has been revealed. Your first trail is a large canyon area. This is where you find that Hunter S. Thompson worm. There's also a small pool of nourishing water in case you find a watering can. Okay, I know I keep using this ambiguous terminology like that, but I'm really hoping that you'll try this game out for yourself and discover things. Progressing through the game, piecing together important key items, and applying them to unlock more pathways leads to this genuine sense of satisfaction that only games like this can provide. And it's even greater with Mouthole since the game doesn't hold your hand through any of this really. It sort of reminded me of old survival horror games. I found a coin, and I was able to buy my way into the computer shop. I had another $1, so I could afford the mysterious locked box key. From here, I wandered into this spooky forest and found a little red lockbox. Inside, my prize, a manual on how to build doors. Wait, didn't I have an unfinished door in my basement? Does the door lead to anything, or perhaps open another path in some other place? Oh, and don't talk to the pigman in the woods if you have money on you. Life isn't fair. As I said, the rush of stringing these pieces together and progressing is palpable. The game isn't empty, pretentious musings on the pointlessness of life. There are actual gameplay elements here that are quite a bit of fun if you have the patience and curiosity. Don't let the somewhat bizarre, cryptic language fool you. You're smart enough. I believe in you. So there's low res and then there's low res. When I was a little kid, I used to have dreams that looked like this. Now, this is probably because of Catacomb and the Windows 3D Maze screensaver, both huge influences on my love of computer graphics. Seriously, I had recurring dreams of living in a house like this one here. I suppose my brain needed to take me to this happy place, I guess. Point is, now 30 years later, seeing modern games like Proteus, Post Void, and Mouthole use pixel graphics to portray a sort of metaphysical nightmare, if you will, is just surreal to see. And I can never get enough of it. Several films and filmmakers have taken influence from David Lynch, but video games have always been much more openly inspired. Does that make sense? And here in Mouthole, there's a direct homage, and I love it. It's great. Every now and then, you can get a brief respite from the outlandish. But naturally, the bizarre stuff is the majority of what you'll see. A very, very select group of games I've ever played can hang with Mouthole in terms of the sheer meshing of abstract madness and plain everyday life. The visuals blend curiosity, nostalgia, and uncomfortability, and they'll stick with you long after it's over. It's not just the game. The soundtrack to Mouthole is being offered for free on Steam as well. It's a unique blend of sounds, to say the least. The menu music was giving me almost Division Bell vibes. This is a good thing. The in-game music served to drive home the monotony of daily living while also having this tone that says, "Go try everything." I didn't hear any songs that made me drop the dishes or anything, but the quirky, bit-crushed sound effects and things like the whistling as you explore the canyons are so catchy. Everything is placed right sonically and complements the environment that you're in. There is one area where the soundscape had me stop and listen. I was so into the game over my 6 to 7 hour experience that I almost forgot that it was being delisted soon. I was just having a good time. Then I stood in this town. I listened to the music, the thick, heavy drops of rain, and the noise of a single motorist doing endless laps on this square road. It gave me pause, and then I reflected. Kick the soccer ball, smoke the cigarette, brush your teeth, open your mail, surf the internet, or give an armless worm a glove for his head so that he may plink away at cans in the desert once more. Whatever you choose to do with your time, just make sure that you can look back and say to yourself, "Man, am I glad I did that." In the end, the clock will stop ticking regardless. When it comes to playing through something like Mouthole, I don't regret a second of it. This is a unique, special video game unlike anything I've ever seen. The fact that it hasn't gotten much traction is terribly unfortunate. The company that made it is going under. They also had to cancel their next project as a result, and Mouthole is being delisted. So if curious players of the future see this video someday long from now and are curious, just know that it was good. Maybe it's the hopeless romantic in me, but I sort of hope in vain that the delisting won't happen, but I doubt I'm in any position to change the inevitable. And sadly, it is inevitable. No matter how many doors you build, how many Phil Collins songs you can play on your mini drum set, no matter how strong your legs get from bouncing on trampolines. Nothing lasts forever.